Let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time your hairstyle made you feel like you? Not just put together, not just acceptable, but truly confident, like you could walk into any room and own it. A lot of women over 50 keep their hair long because it's what they've always done. And I get it. But here's the thing. What once felt empowering might now weigh you down, literally and visually. Today, we will fix that in a way that still feels like you. Hi there. I'm so glad you're here. I've worked with so many women over 50, and let me tell you something I hear all the time. I just don't feel like myself anymore. And more often than not, that feeling starts with the way we see ourselves in the mirror. Now, this isn't about cutting off all your hair or doing something wild. Not all. This is about reconnecting with the version of yourself you've grown into. A version that's wise, vibrant, and still evolving. Hair is powerful, and when it frames your face just right, you feel lifted. You feel seen. That's what this conversation is really about. Let's figure out how your hair can support the woman you are today. Let's talk about the mistake I see most often. Long hair, no shape, just straight, heavy, one-length hair that does nothing for your face. It might have worked in your 30s, but now it can actually drag your features down, make your face look longer, and even exaggerate aging. Now, I know a lot of women have been burned by layers before. Maybe the stylist cut too much or left it looking choppy and thin. But here's what you need to know. The issue is not layers. It is the technique. Done right, layers lift and flatter. Let me start with something I see all the time. A woman walks into my salon, hair down to the middle of her back, and she says, "I've had it this way for years. Just trim the ends." And you know what? That's completely okay. Long hair can feel comforting. It is familiar, it is safe, and sometimes it feels like the one part of us we can still control. But here's the thing. What used to work for you at 30 or 40 might not be working the same way now. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your face, your hair texture, and your energy have evolved. Your hair needs to evolve with you. Let me tell you about Teresa. She is 63, full of life, but her hair was weighing her down. It had no layers, no movement, just a solid sheet of hair that made her face look longer and pulled her whole look downward. She said, "This is how I've always worn it." And I get that. There is comfort in consistency. But I gently offered a small change. Just a bit of softness around her face. No major cut. No soaking transformation. When she saw the result, she lit up. Her face looked lifted. Her eyes sparkled. She said, "It's still me, just better." That one moment reminded me how often women just need permission to change. You see, hair is not just about style. It is about identity. But identity is not static. It grows with you. And if your hairstyle has stayed the same while everything else about you has changed, it might be time to realign the outside with the inside. Now let me be clear. I'm not saying you need to chop it all off. Not at all. I am saying your hair deserves a shape, a little structure, some intentionality. And that can be as simple as a few layers in the right places. Most of us are so used to putting others first, we stop asking, "What makes me feel beautiful?" Well, I'm asking you that now. When you look in a mirror, do you feel like your hair supports who you are today, or is it still clinging to who you were yesterday? There is power in letting go of a version of yourself that no longer fits. And there is beauty in choosing a cut that feels like the woman you have become. Take a photo of yourself today. Then find one from 10 or 15 years ago. Ask yourself honestly, does my hair still reflect who I am now? And remember, this is not about impressing others. This is about claiming your confidence. A woman with presence doesn't need to shout. She just needs to show up as herself. And sometimes, showing up starts with a shape that lifts you, literally and emotionally. That little shift in your haircut could be the thing that makes you walk taller, smile easier, and feel more like the real you. Let's do a quick visual exercise. Imagine you're wearing a dress. It's loose, no shape, just kind of hanging there. Now imagine that same dress, but it's tailored in all the right places. The fabric didn't change, the color didn't change, but suddenly it flatters you. That is exactly what layers do for your hair. They tailor your look to highlight what you want and soften what you don't. One-length hair might feel safe, but it often makes your features disappear instead of standing out. Here's what happens. As we age, our hair naturally loses volume. It gets finer, flatter, and sometimes even starts to grow in different patterns. So when you keep all your hair one length, it can pull everything downward. It drags your face, covers your neckline, and creates a heavy visual weight. You might think you are keeping it long for femininity, but what it might be doing is making your overall look feel heavier and older. Let me tell you about Susan. She's in her late 50s and came to me frustrated. She said, "It used to have bounce. Now it just hangs there like a curtain." When we looked at photos from 10 years earlier, the difference wasn't just her age. It was the movement. Back then, her hair had layers, shape, and energy. Now, it was one long sheet, and it made her feel tired just looking at it. We added a few soft layers, and guess what? She came back a week later saying, "I feel like I'm walking with a lighter step." That's the power of subtle changes. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about capturing your presence. The goal isn't to look younger. The goal is to feel more like yourself, awake, expressive, visible. And sometimes that starts with how your hair moves when you turn your head or how it frames your smile. When you wear your hair all one length, especially past a certain age, you're asking it to do something it just can't anymore. It can't give you shape. It can't provide lift. It just sits there. But when you add layers, suddenly, your hair is working with you. It's supporting your features, not hiding them. The next time you brush your hair, pay attention to how it falls. Does it lift you or pull you down? If the answer is the second, it might be time to let go of that one-length look and embrace something with just a little more shape. Your reflection will thank you. Remember, you're not trying to impress anyone else. You're trying to feel aligned in your own skin. Even something as small as changing how your hair moves can create a ripple effect. You may start standing taller, smiling more, or even reconnecting with a part of yourself you thought was gone. So don't underestimate the power of movement and shape. It's not about being bold. It's about being true. Let's talk about something that makes a lot of women nervous. Layers. Specifically, the fear that layers will make your hair look thin. I hear this all the time, and honestly, it's a valid concern. But here's what I want you to know. It's not the layers themselves that cause the problem. It's how they're done. The technique matters more than anything. Most stylists are trained to layer hair in a certain way. They pull the hair straight out and cut into it, often starting low, near the bottom. That technique might work on someone with super thick hair, but for women with fine or aging hair, it can take away the fullness you need right where you need it most, at the ends. Here's the trick. There's a part of your head called the parietal ridge. If you drew a line from the top of one ear around the back of your head to the other ear, you'd find it. Everything below that line should stay mostly one length. That's your foundation. That's where the weight and structure live. Now, everything above that line, that's where you can safely introduce some shape, some lift. That's where you can create movement without sacrificing fullness. And that's the balance. You get layers that flatter your face and bring life to your style without ending up with those stringy, thin-looking ends that no one wants. I had a client named Sharon. She had not cut her hair in almost 2 years. She was afraid of losing what little thickness she had left. I showed her this approach. We kept the bottom intact and only added layers around her crown and cheeks. After the cut, she said, "It still feels full, but now I actually see my face again." That's the goal, to keep your hair feeling like yours, just with more intention. Because when it's done right, layering gives you shape, softness, and even makes styling easier. And here's the best part. If you decide later you want more layers, you can always add them gradually. So if you've been burned by bad layers in the past, I get it. But don't let that stop you from trying again with the right method and the right communication. Before your next appointment, tell your stylist this. Please keep everything below my parietal ridge one length. I want to protect the fullness. Say it with confidence. You'll not only sound like you know what you're doing, you'll actually get a better result. And remember, it's okay to ask questions during your cut. A good stylist will appreciate your clarity. This is your hair, your face, and your story. You deserve to have a style that supports your confidence, not chips away at it. It's not about trends. It's about trust. Trust in your look and your reflection. All right, let's talk about something every woman dreads, but few talk about out loud. The mushroom cut. You know exactly what I mean. That rounded, poofy look that makes the top of your head look like a helmet, while the bottom just kind of disappears. It's not flattering, it's not modern, and honestly, it's one of the biggest fears women over 50 have when they hear the word layers. So how does this happen? It usually starts with good intentions. You sit in the chair and say, my hair feels flat. Can we add a little volume up top? And what happens next? The stylist cuts the top layers too short. Now your hair looks like it has a bowl sitting on top of it. The balance is gone, and growing it out, a nightmare. But here's the good news. This can be prevented. There's actually a super simple check you can do at home, even before you see your stylist. Stand in front of a mirror. Take a section of hair from the back of your head, right around the occipital bone, that little bump you feel in the middle. Lift it straight up. Now grab a section from the top of your head and lift that, too. Here's the rule. The top layer should never be significantly shorter than the bottom. If it is, you're headed for mushroom territory. Let me tell you about my client, Carol. She came in after getting what she called the worst haircut of her life. Her top layers were so short that she couldn't get them to blend with the rest of her hair, no matter what she did. She wore hats for 2 months. When we finally got the shape back, I taught her this little test. Now, she uses it every time she goes to a new stylist. And guess what? No more helmet hair. The key is balance. Your layers should work with the overall shape of your hair, not fight against it. When layers are too short on top, they throw off everything else. But when they're done with intention and length in mind, they add softness, movement, and even make your hair look fuller, not puffier. Before your next appointment, do the mirror test. Show your stylist where your occipital bone is and say, I want the top layers to blend with this length, not sit way above it. That one sentence can save you months of frustration. And more importantly, it can help you walk out of the salon feeling like yourself, not like someone wearing a wig. And if you've ever had this happen to you, you are not alone. So many women have walked out of the salon smiling politely, only to cry in the car. But once you know how to prevent it, you take back control. You become your own best advocate. And that confidence, it shows in your hair and your energy. Let's say you're curious about layers, but the idea of changing your whole hairstyle makes your stomach drop. I get it. Big changes can feel like big risks, especially when it comes to something as personal as your hair. That's why I always recommend starting small. And by small, I mean front layers. Face framing pieces are a gentle, low-commitment way to dip your toes into the layering world without diving in head first. Front layers don't touch the back of your hair. They don't mess with the crown or the fullness at the ends. They just gently soften the area around your face, bringing attention to your cheekbones, lifting your features, and adding a bit of movement. And the best part? If you don't like them, they grow out faster than you think. Let me tell you about Linda. She was 71 when she came in for a consultation. She looked at me and said, I want to feel a little lighter, but I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard. We decided on long, subtle layers just at the front, nothing drastic. When she saw herself afterward, she gasped. Not because she looked completely different, but because she looked like herself again. She said, I can see my face again. It's been a while. And that right there, that's the magic of front layers. It's not about making a statement. It's about creating harmony. A few well-placed pieces can take a heavy, dated look and give it a sense of softness and air. They can work with your natural texture, whether you have waves, curls, or straight hair. They can be tucked behind your ears, styled away from the face, or left to fall naturally. They are versatile and forgiving, and that's exactly what makes them so perfect as a first step. A lot of women ask me, but will it make me look older if I mess it up? My answer is always the same. Not if it's done right. And right doesn't mean dramatic. It means thoughtful, strategic, intentional. If you're ready to test the waters, ask your stylist for soft, blended face-framing layers that start below the chin. Be clear that you want movement, not volume. And remember, this isn't about changing everything. It's about honoring where you are now, with a style that meets you there and makes you feel just a little more like yourself. And if you're not sure where to start, just look in the mirror. Place 2 fingers at your chin and imagine a soft layer falling there. Would that open up your face a little? Would it make your smile feel more visible? Small changes can bring big energy shifts. So take the first step gently. Your hair will thank you, and so will your reflection. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Cutting your own hair? That sounds terrifying. And hey, I get it. Most of us were taught to leave haircuts to the professionals. But here's the truth. Not everyone has a stylist they trust. And sometimes you just want to try something simple, especially when it's just a few front layers to freshen things up. And yes, you can do this yourself with the right method and a little patience. Let me walk you through it. First off, you want to start with dry hair, styled the way you normally wear it. That part's important. You want to cut your hair when it already looks the way you live in it, not wet and way down. Next, grab a pair of proper shears. Please don't use kitchen scissors or craft scissors. That's a fast track to regret. Invest in a good pair of haircutting shears. It makes all the difference. Then you want to part your hair down the middle and pull forward the front sections, like soft curtains. These are the pieces you'll layer. Hold one side between 2 fingers and gently angle the scissors in a downward, diagonal motion. You're not cutting straight across. You're shaping. You're softening. Just a little goes a long way. I had a client named Denise who was in her mid-60s. She was tired of waiting weeks for a salon appointment and said, "I just want to see if I can do this myself." We walked through the steps together, and guess what? She did it. And the look on her face when she saw her reflection? Pride. She said, "I feel like I took some of my confidence back." It's not about being a professional. It's about empowerment, about knowing that you can trust your own hands and your own eyes, especially when it comes to something as personal as your hair. You don't have to go all in. You don't have to change everything. Just shaping the front layers gives your face more presence and your expression more visibility. And if you're nervous, practice with a little at a time. You can always trim more, but you can't put it back. Less is more. Take a breath. Cut slowly. Look often.cta. If you're ready to give this a try, watch the step-by-step tutorial I linked. I'll walk you through each move. No pressure, no guesswork. And remember, even if you never pick up the scissors, learning how this works gives you language. It gives you confidence when talking to your stylist, because the more you know about your own hair, the better decisions you'll make for it. And let's be honest, trying something new, especially something that helps you feel more in control, is always worth celebrating. Even a small shift in how you shape your layers can create a big shift in how you show up. You deserve that kind of power. So whether you do it yourself or just understand it better, take the step. Your reflection will thank you. Let's take a moment to zoom out, because at this point, it's no longer just about hair, is it? It's about how you see yourself and how you want to show up. It's about walking past a mirror and liking what you see. Not because it's perfect, not because it's trendy, but because it feels like you. I've seen this over and over. A woman walks into the salon tired, weighed down by life, by hair, by time. And just a few intentional changes? She lifts. Her shoulders pull back. Her smile shows up. She remembers herself. You don't have to cut it all off. You don't have to become someone else. All you need is a style that fits your spirit now, not 10 years ago. That shift might start with a front layer, or a new part, or even just a conversation. But once you feel that click, you'll know. This is your moment. So here's the truth. Long hair is not the problem. One length, shapeless hair that no longer supports your features, that's where the issue begins. If you love your current style, and it makes you feel amazing, hold on to it. But if something feels off, or if your reflection doesn't match how you feel inside, maybe it's time for a change. Not a drastic one, just a smart, thoughtful shift. A few layers, a better shape, something that gives your hair movement again. Your hair should reflect your spirit, your energy, and your growth. You've earned the right to look in the mirror and feel proud of what you see every single day. If you're feeling inspired to make a small change, I got something for you. Check out the tutorial linked here. I'll guide you step by step through creating soft front layers at home. No pressure, no rushing, just simple, clear directions. And if you've ever had a haircut go wrong or felt stuck with your style, share your story in the comments. You're not alone. This is a place where we grow, share, and show up for each other with style and heart.